Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It is Monday. It's time for the Monday Pitch. Look, it's been a crazy weekend for VAR and everything else. So I want to get into it. Let me bring out the guests first. I'm going to save the one who's most happy till last today because his team's currently playing and they've got 7 minutes left and 1-0 up. So let me bring up my fellow Spurs fan first. Hold on. Let me just get rid of him. Chris, ref, should be happy.
Should I be happy? What am I happy about?
Spurs haven't lost.
Yeah. Whenever you say I'm going to bring out the happiest last, I know. My attention, I turn on because that's never me, right? Never me. I'm all right, mate. How are you doing?
All good. How was your run last week?
Yeah. I mean, well, it was all right. So, yeah, I've never done a half marathon before, but I was a bit underprepared because I got injured in the build-up, so I'd done nothing like the previous 3 weeks. So about 2/3 of the way around, I struggled a lot. I had to cramp up. But I got over the line. I got my medal. It's all that matters.
All good. Next one. You lost this weekend. You lot are going for a bit of a blip.
Yeah, it happens, man. It's the championships, the nature of the beast, man. 1 minute you think you're up, and in reality you're down. So you just got to take the rough with the smooth, roll with punches.
Did you watch it?
I didn't get to watch the game live, but I caught some of the highlights.
Because apparently Min Hyuk didn't play very well.
Yeah, he didn't have his greatest game.
How are the QPR fans are receiving him at the moment? Because I know a lot of them wanted a striker in January, but ended up getting Hyuk. And I've noticed he's in and out. He's been in and out because he's probably not the winger you guys needed.
No, he's not really managed to secure like a first team regular start. But when he's come on, he's looked, a little bit exciting. It's just you want to see a little bit more from him. But obviously, the more minutes he gets, hopefully, the more he can get into the style of play, what we're doing, and also understanding what it takes to play in the championship as well.
He's going to be in the Premier League next year. Now we're not going to get relegated. So it's fine.
Well, yeah, no, but just in terms of getting used to British football.
That's why we sent him to you lot. No,
yeah,
all good. Mitchie, I'm going to bring you out now because you're 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Beating West Ham.
Closing in.
Look, happy?
Just about. It's in the plan today was to get through, no straight reds, no more injuries, and then we're good. Don't lose the game. They were the three things. No straight reds, no injuries, don't lose.
I'm going to ask you off the back already. I know, look, it's West Ham. They ain't coming back. Cup final next week.
Yeah.
Promising?
I wouldn't say promising. I would say I'm still slightly optimistic, but it's a big ask now because we're missing Lewis Hall, where Botman's probably not be back this season, and Gordon's suspended. So that's basically our whole left side out against Liverpool's strongest side. The thing I would say might go in our favour is Livramento. I quite like the matchup of Livramento against Salah. I quite like that matchup.
He ain't no Jet Spence.
I've been saying for a few years that we could start seeing a lot more fullbacks playing on the wrong side to stop the attackers cutting in and getting a shot off. So
you can see that
matchup.
Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, because you notice because I think Aurier played against Salah, and Chris might remember this at Wembley, and he played at left back against Salah and had him in his pocket.
Yeah,
and he never played there again.
It's crazy, but I think it could be a tactic that teams do start employing if it does work. So I'm quite happy with the matchup.
All good. All right, let's get into VAR because again, was it 2 weeks ago gave us nothing, and 2 weekends in a row they've given us more and more and more to talk about. And I apologise, Chris. Dal Johnson's on holiday, so you're gonna have to actually come up with something by yourself this week.
This is where I get exposed, and I don't know what to say. But we'll see how we go.
I think these ones are going to be interesting because most of the ones that I think we've managed to pick, most of them, some didn't even go to VAR, some did, and it's just a case of what we actually thought of it as overall. So let's go to the early kickoff last week on Saturday, and let's get straight into it. Elliot Anderson on what's his name? On Phil Foden. Mitch, should he have received a red card for this challenge?
Well, it's one of them that I would look at it and traditionally say, no, it's not a red card. But from what we've heard and from what we've seen on red cards this season, it kind of is, because it's studs high up on the leg, well, high up on the lower half of the leg. No matter how Chris has said it a few times, no matter how his foot has got to that position, it's ended up in that position. So he's given a decision to make, and I can't really see why it hasn't been given based on that. But I also don't 100% believe it should have been a red card. I'm not going to, if Chris comes on and says, nah, from the way it's happened and because it's slightly the side of his foot, yellow's probably right. I wouldn't be up in arms and having a major argument about it. But I think it is similar to some others we've seen reds given for. So for that reason, I kind of think it was a red based on that.
Sink.
Yeah, for
We
me,
missed you last week. We had one for you last week and we missed you. We all wanted you.
sorry, I missed it. I mean, with this one, I think Anderson's being a little bit naughty. If I be honest, I think he knows what he's doing, and I know I know intent doesn't come into anything, but like, he's followed through, knowing that he's possibly 50-50 chance could end up connecting with Foden. His initial contact with the ball, studs wasn't showing. It's just his follow through has come up.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Is it actually his studs that actually connect with him, or is it just his instep, like the ball of his?
That's the interesting part. Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually studs that's making impact, but it's more so the position of where it is on Foden's leg. It's high up on his leg. So is it careless or is it reckless? And I think it's right in between. And once you're bordering on reckless, isn't it just reckless then? So if it was given as a red, you couldn't question it, because based on what's been given and how the game's been played now, maybe it should be a red.
So I'm gonna be. I think on this one, I agreed with the refs, and the reason why I agreed with the refs was because of the state of gameplay more than the actual tackle. Because it was a follow through, and Foden kind of gets up, and he doesn't. It doesn't really. And I think Sink, where you hit the nail on the head is from this image is probably what they saw. You can't see whether it's his studs or not. If it's his side of his foot, then, and Foden doesn't really make a meal out of it. So for me, I agreed with the yellow. I can see if it was a red card, I would have gone, you know what, fair enough. It is what it is. But I thought when I first looked at it and when I saw it in real time, I went, oh. But as soon as I saw the replay, I went, oh, that's probably a yellow at best, if that.
Yeah.
But the one thing where I did agree with your statement at the beginning, it's Elliot Anderson, and he's a nasty piece of work if he's going on by reputation.
You know what? Just to add on to what you said there as well, Miles. Like, if you look at this image, you know, in another situation of the same phase of play, he could actually cause Foden to hyperextend his knee.
Yeah.
So you also got to look at the impact that it has on the player as well. I think you got to take that into consideration. This could have been a very, very, very dangerous or a very significant injury for Foden. Sorry.
Yo, Mitchy, on Elliot Anderson, because obviously you guys have had him in Newcastle.
Yeah.
Has he got a reputation of doing this? Has it been something that he's been known for?
He's what I'd call a bit. I wouldn't say that he's got a reputation for it, so to speak, because you didn't see an awful lot of nasty. Like he's what I would call a throwback. He's a bit of a box-to-box midfielder that can do a little bit of everything, that has got that nasty streak in him. So I reckon the Newcastle players would probably turn around and say, yeah, he's got a bit of that in him, because they would have seen a lot more of him. But what we saw of him actually on a Premier League football pitch, you didn't see him actually like do anything like this, but you could tell that he's got a lot of bite about his game. He doesn't mind putting it about. You just didn't really see the deliberate follow through, thinking I'm going to get a bit of the guy here.
So is everyone in agreement, yellow or red?
I think I was more. It's probably one that goes with ref's call, and I was more. It probably shouldn't be a red, but then Sink said he kind of knows what he's doing with the follow through, which has
That's
made
the bit, yeah.
push me a little bit more towards red.
That's made me debate as well. I'm more pushing. It probably should have been a red.
Yeah, I'm a bit there. For me, because it starts bordering on reckless, isn't it just reckless then?
Yeah, it is reckless. It is reckless. It's a difficult one, and the only thing that I do agree, the only thing I go where I agree with the ref, as I said earlier, is because of the state of the play and the game, the way the game was. It wasn't that sort of game, and it was just mistimed. Well, we think it's mistimed, so
Yeah.
it would have ruined the game completely. And it was a great game to watch, even though it was only 1-0.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game of football.
Yeah. Two teams just going at it, and even for Forest, the way they've played this year, I was quite surprised the way Nuno set up. But Chris, go on. Why did he? What did he get? A yellow card, or did he even get anything? I can't remember.
Didn't get anything, I think.
Didn't get anything, did he? No. But they had a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, but if they have a look at it, so I don't know actually what the decision was initially, but if they have a look at it for a red card, if he's not been given a yellow, and they're not going to recommend a review, there's then no middle ground to go, oh, it should be a yellow. So it's one thing or another. I'll start with my slightly anal refereeing terminology thing. Before I say what I'm going to say, I think it's totally fine that you guys just talk as normal football fans and terminology, right? For the refereeing world, which I'm here to kind of represent, terminology becomes important. So I'm not saying what I'm about to say in a way of saying, oh, you shouldn't talk about it the way you did, but I will just clarify in law that careless is just a foul, reckless is yellow card, and then the next level up from that for red card is what they call excessive force. Okay. So when we're talking about reckless, if we really think it's reckless, the law says that would be a yellow card. But that's me getting into law definitions. You guys, when you're talking, right, you know what you mean, even if you don't quite match up with the exact terminology. But I just thought I'd clarify that.
Good enough, boys.
In terms of the actual challenge, I don't see it as a red card for a number of reasons. There's no doubt. I mean, that still is as bad as it looks, right? But even at that still, right, his weight's not in his front foot, right? He's stood up perfectly fine. He's not like lunging. The weight's not behind it. So it's not a massively forceful challenge. He's not lunged in from distance. He's quite in control. It doesn't look like it from this still, but it is part of a normal action of kicking the ball, right? It wasn't like if you dive in 2-footed over the top of the ball, that's not a normal football action. This was just a follow through from what was a normal kick of the ball. So for all of those reasons, the contact was pretty fleeting as well. That's because the reason why the contact is fleeting really is because he is stood up, so he's in control of the challenge. So when he kicks Foden, he can easily put his foot away because he's still standing up. If you go in 2-footed, you've completely lost control, right? And that's when referees view that a lot sort of more dimly. Just to be consistent with what we said before, although it's a normal football action, the fact he's hit the ball first is irrelevant, because we have this discussion every week. It is irrelevant, but the fact it is a normal football action is important. I don't think he's... I mean, it looks like a sore one, but I don't think he's really sort of endangered his safety there. There's no continual... You actually watch the video, the contact's very fleeting.
Yeah.
So it lacks the force. It lacks all of that kind of maliciousness. It's not the kind of tackle I think when you first see it, you instantly go, "Oh my god!" So for me, I get my yellow card out. I think it's a yellow card. I think it's right that the VAR didn't intervene. Yeah, equally, like we say, I'm not sure if they would have intervened if he'd have showed him a red card initially. I think probably not, because the contact is there quite high up. But for me, on balance, I think it's more a yellow than a red.
So Mitch is back, by the way, because Newcastle just won 1-0. So give her a rest.
The wine is out. Having a little celebratory drink.
You text Stocky yet?
I'll wait until I see him in person for all of that.
I don't think he'll be too happy though.
Nah. He won't be seeing you for another week. He'll wait till after the Liverpool game and be like, nah, stop this. Quickly, while we're talking about Nottingham Forest, I just quickly want to add something into it. Do we think Nottingham Forest are going to make the Champions League this season just by the momentum that they're going for. And the reason why I'm asking is because the next 10 games, I heard this earlier, the next 10 games, they picked up 9 wins and 1 loss against the teams in the opposite fixture. And then most of them are in the bottom half of the table, which is looking more favourable for them, which is the teams that they've been beating this year. Do we think they're going to make it?
I'm going to stick by what I've said since December and say no. I actually no longer have any reasonable explanation why I'm saying no. I am just sticking with what I've said originally because I'm not changing my mind until it's definite that I'm wrong.
Think?
Well, anything's possible, but I mean, it's really significant that the win on the weekend against City, because it's against City and that's who they're trying to hold off against. I think, I think they could possibly do it just because of the inconsistency of everyone else.
So they're 4 points. Yeah, they're 4 points behind Arsenal. They're 5 points in. No, 6 points. No, I'm wrong. 3 points. Get my maths right. 3 points in front of Chelsea, and then it's City and Newcastle just behind them now because Newcastle obviously won tonight.
Can Villa and Newcastle drag City and Nottingham Forest into a Champions League scrap? Possibly.
Well, yeah, because if Bournemouth, we'll get into that, but if Bournemouth would have won at the weekend, they would have been a couple points behind as well. So it's looking interesting. Chris, where do you sit on the Forest in Champions League?
Well, I think the key part to the debate is it top 4 or top 5, right? And almost certainly it's going to be top 5.
Yes, guaranteed. Yeah, pretty much guaranteed now, isn't it?
So when you look at it like that, they've got a 5-point gap over Brighton. They've got 6 over Villa, who've played a game more. I just had a look at the bookies' odds, actually. So for top 4, there are just shade of outsiders. So the bookies think City and Chelsea will finish above them. But they're the next favourites. So, that's what the bookies think, is that they'll finish 5th. I think it's beginning to look like, can I really see Brighton catching?
Brighton don't have to catch him, though. Brighton don't have to catch him. Ask Chelsea and City.
All right. Well, Newcastle, then you still got to catch 4 points on them, right?
Yeah.
So do you have to play them yet?
No, we beat them twice this season.
Yeah, they beat them. Most. So this is the problem with Forest. That's what I said earlier. Most of Forest's games now are against the teams in the bottom because we got to play them, and I think they got to play United. They're probably
the one thing I would say is that they need to guard against the mindset of job done, because you'll look at it as we've got 9 games against teams that we've beat a lot of the bottom half.
Yeah.
If they sort of half check out for a team like Forest, that's where it goes wrong.
I think
they won't check out. I think the fans are giving that. As long as the fans, because the fans obviously know that, as long as their fans don't get overhyped and start spreading that to the players, I think the players will do exactly what they're supposed to do. So they're going to take their foot off the gas.
I think they'll have the opposite problem. Yeah, I don't think they'll take the foot off their gas. I think it's a matter of can they deal with the pressure of being hunted now.
That's probably, because they are hunted,
They're also still in the FA Cup, and that's a big distraction as well.
Yeah.
I think you got a point, Mitch, but I expected that point to come like when they got to sort of 40 points. I've seen that before with teams who've got to 40 points quickly who weren't expected to. They just kind of switch off, but they haven't. Like that game at the weekend is a classic one where I kind of expected that people to revert to type, right? See a better City and City to maybe beat them 2 or 3, but they're still pulling out results. So, I mean, if I'm going to stick my neck out right now, I'm going to say that I think they're going to finish 5th. So,
at least, possibly,
Who finishes above them, apart from Arsenal? Who finishes above them for you then?
I think Chelsea and City probably ultimately will finish above them.
Okay. Anyone else think who's going to finish above Forest apart from Arsenal?
I still think the top 4 will be Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle.
You're going to back your team, aren't you? You're always going to back your team.
I think we finish above Chelsea. I genuinely think our cup final is done on Sunday. So all the distraction is done on Sunday. We have no more Premier League games. So regardless of what happens with that, I think you see us step up again until the end of the season. And we've got to play Chelsea again at St James's Park.
Yeah, you got some tough games. You got Villa away, Brighton away, Arsenal away. They're tough.
Arsenal, Newcastle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you see the best of us, though.
Well, this is why I think I don't think Chelsea will make it. I think it'll be Forest, City, and then possibly a Villa. Well,
Villa are quite close with a game.
yeah, but I think but I just got a feeling that Villa will go on. Unai Emery will pull out something. I don't know what it is. I'm not basing that off anything. I just think Villa are going to be the outsiders to get that last 15.
I don't see it with Villa, not while they're, especially while they're still in the Champions League, which they'll almost certainly get through.
They're definitely through. Yeah, they're definitely through. It's just a case of I just got a feeling that I think the January signings for them have been so important, and I think
aren't they also still in the FA Cup?
Yes, they are because they got Preston, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Also, the FA Cup's going to be a distraction for everyone. Hey, we have a chance.
It's
We have a chance, Chris.
Yeah, not for everyone. No.
We have a chance. All right, let's get on to the next one. It is Brighton versus Fulham, and it was the winning penalty on Saturday. I need to get my days. Remember where I am with my days. I tried to put these in order as well. So Brighton are awarded a penalty in the last minute. Sink. Was it a penalty?
Unfortunately, it was a penalty. He's just tried to come in and clear the ball, and João Pedro just got in just as he's trying to clear the ball, and he's just got ahead of his striking foot, and he's caught him in the back of the heel or back of the ankle, whatever you want to call it. But he's made connection. It's a pen. It's a pen.
Mitchie?
I can't agree. Stocky would be raging with me saying that when he's here, because when we played West Ham last season, we got 2 penalties when they were clearing the ball, and Gordon nipped round and got kicked. But I don't feel whoever the 6 is has done enough of it. He's not really trying to swing and kick the ball away.
Harrison Reed? Harrison Reed, I think.
He's just trying to poke it out.
I don't think he catches him.
I feel it's enough.
I don't think he even catches him enough. I think when I looked, so I looked at it twice today before I could actually get this image, and I looked at it and I went, I don't think he's even caught him. I think he's brushed him and he's dived.
Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere near. If he'd properly swung his leg and hit it round, yes, but he's just trying to poke it away. I don't think there's anywhere near enough for this to be a penalty at that time of the game. Gone past the initial injury time as well, by the way, to win the match. I just can't see this being anywhere near enough. And I know all of the game state and stuff shouldn't come into it when you're giving a penalty. But even the initial point, I don't think there's enough in it to give a penalty.
I didn't think there was enough contact in it. I sat there and I watched and I was like, he's basically conned the ref. I thought he personally conned the ref. You might be right, he might have caught him sink. But when I looked at it, I had to watch it twice. And I went, no, that don't look like a penalty to me. It just didn't look like a penalty.
Yeah, Chris loves his terminology and the words he said a few times: contact with consequence. I do not believe that is inflated. I do not believe the contact was brought him down. It's João Pedro wanted to go down.
Yeah.
He's gone down. I don't think this is contact with consequence.
So, let me just quickly ask Sink a question, because obviously you said he's caught him. If he doesn't give the penalty, do you think there will be much outrage?
Yeah, because Brighton are at home.
But with take Brighton out of the equation. I'm more talking about with us and the media and everyone going, "Oh my god, this and that and the other." If he doesn't give the penalty,
no, I don't think there'll be as much outrage if it wasn't given. But I feel like he's this thing. If you allowed the question to be asked,
I knew he was going to go there with that. Yeah, that's the problem. They have allowed Harrison Reed is allowed because Anderson at first thinks it's him, but actually when you look at it, it is Harrison Reed because he goes to swipe, kick the ball. But I think from what I can remember, he doesn't go to kick it. He's realised his foot's there and he kind of and I literally mean brush him. But you are right, he gives him the question. I personally still think it's not penalty. I still think it's a dive. But what can you do in that situation?
Just got to go with what the ref gives.
Go on, Chris.
Well, I think contact with consequence is a buzz phrase in the Premier League. I think that's more to do with one we might talk about next week. I'm sure Stocky will want us to, with the alleged push by Isak in the game tonight for the Newcastle goal. That's not contact with consequence. I mean, you can't blatantly. Now, if it was really, really obvious, it should have been disallowed. But it's a fairly soft push in the back. But was Kilman ever getting to the ball? Probably not. So contact with consequence isn't a free-for-all. Like, if you're off the ball, you can just do what you like. But at the same time, if they've got no ability to play the ball, I think you're going to view it more leniently, less strictly, I think. So it doesn't really apply, I don't think, contact with consequence here. The problem for the referee, ultimately, is... I sort of agree with Sink. I do think there is contact. It's a classic one that, as football fans, we would say is soft. But if you're looking at it as a ref, Harrison Reed has gone to presumably trying to kick the ball. He hasn't kicked the ball. He's made contact with the back of the guy's leg. It's kind of hard in law to justify why that's not a penalty. So I can fully understand why it's given. I think on balance, I think it probably is a penalty. I think everybody would say it's a bit soft, but my interpretation when people say it's a soft penalty, when people say soft, what I hear was, well, it's a foul, albeit not the worst foul in the world. The Tottenham penalty at the weekend was soft, right? But it's still a foul. I think it's a foul. I'm 50-50 on whether, had he not given it, would VAR have stepped in. I'm not sure. I could see that either way. I don't have a strong view, but as soon as it's given, it's never being overturned in a million years because the contact is there. I think it is. It's not. So for me, it's not a dive because I think there is contact. So it's the difference between a dive and exaggerating contact that has happened, which is still kind of unsportsmanlike, but is not as bad as just throwing yourself on the floor, right? So I'm not condoning João Pedro, although he got me some points for Fantasy League because he's in my team. So I'm not condoning the exaggerating of the contact, but every player does that. But for me, there was contact and he's not got the ball. You've got to give a penalty for me.
Quick question before we move on. Hertzler, done a great job, or is it just the Brighton model that he's benefiting from?
I would say... Go on, Sink.
No, I was just going to say he's having a good first season so far, but I think you're if you go into that environment at Brighton and you're a progressive coach and someone he's shown that he can adapt to the Premier League or the current league or whatever league he's in, then he can flourish. It's just how long can it last? Can he stay there for a length of time and actually build something? I think that's the thing with Brighton. I think they should actually want one of their managers to actually stay and build and try and do what Newcastle, Aston Villa trying to do and sustain Europe, attempt to try and get in Champions League. I think they've got a good foundation of what they're trying to do. Can they now kick on to the next level? I think he could be someone that could possibly see what he can do following on this season and with next season.
Do you think he can carry on if he gets Europe next year, though, to have the 2 games a week?
That's where things become a struggle. Like, if you can deal with the schedule, you're a top coach.
Mitch?
I would say he's just above par for the course at the minute. I would say the only team he's above that you wouldn't expect him to be above, who are actually performing near to their potential this season, is Aston Villa. Other than that, he's above everyone he should be above. And the only 2 who you probably would have put above Brighton before the season started were Man United and Tottenham, and they've both had terrible seasons.
What I find
one other team I'd put ahead of him was Crystal Palace. I would at the beginning of the season.
I would put Palace ahead.
Palace are peripheral for me. Palace are that side that always are. I imagine them, Crystal Palace, as finishing top of the bottom half.
But I think, but looking at Palace the way they had last year, and Glasner, and they actually had a decent coach this year, I was expecting a slightly better performance. The first 3 months killed them.
Yeah. But, I wouldn't have put them above Brighton at the start. It's Brighton, for me,
I the person
in line when you look at like what you would probably list off as the top 8, 9. What the hell was that?
That's Chris.
I'm sorry. Didn't realise I was off mute.
What was my question? Do you know what? I had a question and now I've forgotten it. Oh, that's what I was going to say to you. But just to put it in perspective of how well Brighton have done, bar 3 games this season where they've lost, their record is pretty much identical to Arsenal's.
To Arsenal's.
Yeah, so if take the 3 extra defeats away, if they'd have turned them into wins, they'd literally have won 15, drawn 10 and lost 3, but instead they've won 12, drawn 10 and lost 6.
You can't do that though, man. Because if Arsenal would won 3 more games, we'd have a title race. Come on, if Ipswich had won 3 more games, you'd be in a relegation battle. You can't do that.
It's put in perspective. You know, the bottle jobs and Brighton are not far off.
Since they've lost them 3 games. Like Forest, about a month ago, they got beat 7-0.
That was a tactical.
The way he set up, it wasn't down to the players.
He said that.
The way he set up.
But he took responsibility, and since that game, they haven't lost, have they?
No, they haven't. They've won like 5 on the trot.
5 on the trot. And you've got to give them credit for that.
They're a decent side, but I would say apart from Villa, that's the only team they're above that I wouldn't have expected them to be above at the start of the season.
I'm going to say that an admission that I expected West Ham to be sort of pushing for top 6 this year. When they signed Kilman, Somerville, Todibo, Bissaka, I thought they'd have a really good side. I certainly expected them to be above Brighton. But I think the key for Brighton, I think Sink said, is what do they do in the summer? Do they do what Tottenham did, which is they're going to have a lot more games next season and don't bother to actually build the squad up at all, in which case they're probably going to struggle, right? But it'd be interesting to see what the ambitions of the owners are, because they've done really well, but they're going to obviously need a bigger squad next season. So,
and how long can Danny Welbeck last? That's going to be the massive question. And Evan Ferguson, he's not exactly pulling. I know he's getting back to fitness at West Ham, but he needs to hit the ground running now because he's getting to a certain age. Who knows? Yeah.
The biggest question with Brighton is when do they change, or do they ever change their model? Because they've had this model for years and years and years, and it will probably consistently work because I've looked into it a little bit deeper, and it's all data driven, and it's not down to any of the backroom staff. It's literally the owner's way of doing things, and it's his program that picks the players.
It's poker, isn't it?
Who leaves, they can keep rolling this out based on the data. It's just how long do they get to the point where they think, actually, to push on, we need to keep some of these really good players and just add little sprinkles into the squad here and there.
But I tell you this, I said you say that, but there's going to be a point in time where they read the data. Someone's going to read the data in the wrong way, like Southampton did when they kept selling their players and they kept bringing these managers, and then at a certain point,
but then that's where it's different. Is that this is the owner's system, and the way the players are picked come from the owner. Whereas at Southampton, and a little bit like what happened at Tottenham, I think it's actually the same guy that's with us now, Mitchell. He got picked and went to someone else, and the system fell down. So it's the man that runs the system has gone, which is why the system's then falling apart. That can't happen at Brighton because it's the owner.
It's be interesting because it is going to take for me. Yeah, all right. They've got the last. I don't really rate Potter, but he's doing all right. De Zerbi was really good for them. I thought he was a good manager, and Hertzler. Okay, let's see how that one plays out. Because I just think there's going to be at some point they will pick the wrong one from the data, and depends on how quick they act.
Yeah, I suppose.
Incidentally, on that, I don't know if people realise, but the system that they use, I assume that most football fans think it was a system built for football, but it's not. I work in the betting industry. It's a betting company.
It's poker in it. Is that what
he's got a background in poker. But
yeah. Oh, that's something. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, a company called Star Lizard. I had an interview there many years ago. Didn't get the job. Anyway, they basically analyse all the data to make sporting predictions, and they then basically bet themselves to exploit that data. And it's only as kind of a result of that the guy who set it up, Tony Bloom, then started to use some of that analysis in football. So it wasn't something that was built for football. He's just, well, fair play to him because he's now
using it well. Him and
two industries. He's used it in betting and then used it in football as well. So.
Because the question will always become, Mitch, for like this all will work for now because the Brighton model, they're just better than the other Premier League teams. But let's say a Newcastle wanted to use this model, does it work when you get to the elite level?
I don't think models like that do, because it gets to the point where you're not finding the next gem anymore. You're looking to add something else to your squad that the data that you're looking at isn't going to give you.
Yeah, and that's always going to be the question of what you just asked. Will Brighton want to move to the next certain level, or will they be happy to finish top of the rest?
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
The data, anyway, I don't. I mean, I'm a big believer in data. I've got a degree in it, but I don't believe that you can just look at data. So it's there to give you maybe direct your analysis, if you like. So it might come up with, go and look at this guy who plays for Nuremberg in the third division in Germany or something. But you still got to look, right? The data
it doesn't give you a Danny Welbeck. That data is never going to give him a Danny Welbeck in this situation. So someone's gone out and gone, he will do a job for what we need, and actually it's worked in their system.
But even people, like, it only tells you a certain amount of the story, right? The data these days, football measure shed loads of stuff, but there are certain things it can't measure, and you've got to have experience to judge that. So you can't just run it just off data and go, we'll go and sign this guy without ever having watched him play just because his numbers are good.
Yeah, but you know who does that, don't you, at the moment? You know which club's doing that and just completely forgets. Should we move on to the next one? Actually, look, the next one we've got 3 to do. 3 decisions. Now, this is probably what made the title race truly and completely over after yesterday's game. So let's look at the first incident. Should Nunez have been sent off for this after hacking down Kyle Walker-Peters? I am so sorry for the images. Look, again, Dow Johnson's away, so on holiday, so I can literally only get a few. Mitch, should Nunez have gone?
It's one of them where I don't feel like a steal does this justice.
I know that. I even asked, I was like,
Like, you look at the steal, no matter how clear or how good the steal is that you bring up, it's not going to do it any justice. Because I'm going to say this is a red card. But you look at this still, and if you haven't seen the instant, people are going to think I'm crazy because it doesn't look that much. But he's literally chased him 20 yards and kicked him like he's a football. Not going for the ball and just booted him. Like, for me, whether the law backs what I'm going to say up now or not, once you've done that, that's a red card. He chased him 20 yards and just booted him. Whatever he's like, there's no attempt for the ball. For me, it has to be a red. Because it's just like, yeah, I don't see how it can't be a red. Like, he's literally, he might as well have been nowhere near the ball. It might as well have been 20 yards off the ball. If the ball wasn't there and he boots him like that, it's a red. But he hasn't gone for the ball anyway, so you might as well take the ball out and make it irrelevant because he hasn't gone for it. So it's a red card.
Sink?
I mean, I can see where Mitch is coming from. I mean,
I can see, but I think I know where you're going to go, and I think I'm going to agree with you, which is
it is a yellow. It's where it isn't it? It's just to stop it.
Yeah, and it's what Mitch just said then when you said about he's just gone to hack. You know when when a player goes through and you just literally take him out because you know that he's going to run through, and even though there's cover, it's just one of those. He hasn't really endangered Kyle Walker-Peters, if that makes some sort of sense.
He's not endangering him, but he's completely
taking him out. Which is what is it? A cynical foul? I don't even know the term of it now.
I mean,
but cynical fouls on the break are a little clip of the ankles, or you pull man down. You don't kick him like he's a football.
But this is kind of goes back to the Lewis Skelly thing as well, where I don't think he should have been sent off, but
but again, Lewis Skelly's was a mistimed trip. These are 2 different things. He's gone to trip him, missed the trip, and caught his other.
I don't think Lewis Skelly. I think Lewis Skelly's gone to trip because he's gone away from him, and he's gone. I can't have him going, and he's literally tried to trip him, and it's just ended up going down his ankle, which is. But this is, I kind of see this in the same boat. I agree with you. He's intentionally tried to stop him, but I don't think there's enough to then give him the red card.
Yeah, no.
He's struck Walker Peters cleaner than most of his shots in this.
Yeah, we know this. I think that's
Like,
the
it's crazy. I cannot see how this is not a red card.
This is why Salah's world class. By the
I'm
way,
baffled. I'm so baffled by this. Like, he's deliberately kicked a player. Deliberately kicked him. He hasn't tripped him. He hasn't pulled him down. He's deliberately kicked him.
He has kicked him, but it's not enough for a red.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm on an evening where I'm just agreeing with Sink, I think.
We need to stop. Whatever you say next, I'm agreeing with you.
I think there's a few weeks ago I spoke about the law and how, in my personal view, I think you could argue for a law change of, if you're solely intending to kick a player, that it should just be a red card. But that isn't what the law currently says. Probably when we were discussing the Lewis Scully one, I think the Lewis Scully one is miles worse than this. Whatever their intent is irrelevant. Lewis Scully ends up with his studs halfway up the guy's leg. So I think the Lewis Scully one's far worse. I honestly, there's nothing in this that I think in the law justifies a red card. Like, it's not excessive force, is it? Like you said, he's not really endangering his safety. It's poor. Like, and as a ref, tackles like this always used to really aggravate me, because there's just no attempt at the ball whatsoever, right? And that kind of offends me in a way, because I just think that should, like I said, I think there's an argument that should be a red card. If you're just going out there just to kick somebody, but he's not really absolutely belted him is it a violent act? I don't think it is. It's a petulant act. So
it's a violent act. If he does this to me, there's a violent act coming his way.
If he wants to violently kick him, he's going to do it a lot harder than that, right? So I think it's just a petulant, pathetic thing that a professional footballer shouldn't be doing. But yeah, I don't see. Hold on a second. Yellow card for me.
So
expensive props. Got to use them.
All right, next. Handball.
For me, it's a handball.
Richie?
I think he's unfortunate. Like, he's running in one direction. He gets nudged towards the ball by Diaz. And that is what causes him to do what he's done next. So I think he's unfortunate for that reason. But once it's hit his arm, yes, it's handball. But
I think there's a massive problem, though, isn't there? Doesn't his hand?
He moves his arm.
He moves his arm
away from his body, but
yeah,
it's the nudge that causes it.
Because you could, Mitch, you are right.
You are right.
If you are nudged, your arms will naturally go out to try and stop yourself from to stop that forward momentum. Like, your arms go out to stop you, to try and break yourself. In that respect, maybe, but in how it looked from the replays that I've seen, it looks like his arm moves towards the ball.
Yeah, but I get that, all of that. And in this situation, yes, what's happened, I would say that it's a correct decision. They've given a penalty. But if, when nudged, he goes over, he gets a free kick. That's why I think he's been unfortunate. Because he's tried to stay up and play the ball.
I get that. Yeah. That's a good point.
He gets nudged. If he flops to the floor, he gets a free kick.
But is
wanting to actually play the ball has cost him giving a penalty away?
Possibly.
Yeah. I get that, but is the push enough to drop his, what they call, holding a brand new baby and holding a pint in the other hand? Would he fall over?
It's not. If he flops to the floor, he gets this free kick. 100%. You see it so often that the striker comes in behind the defender, gives him a little nudge, he flops to the floor. It's not a foul, but they give it.
So for not being clever enough to fall over and dive, basically.
He's either not been clever or he's been too honest.
Yeah, he's been too honest.
And that's why I think he's unfortunate. But because he stayed up and because his arm's gone towards the ball, it's a penalty.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll be honest. When I watched it never crossed my mind that he could get a free kick if he goes down, but possibly he could. I think you're right. Referees are very defensive. I actually used to coach what I call defensive refereeing, which is, whether you like it or not, err on the side of decisions that are not controversial. much less controversial to give a free kick to the defence than it is to not give one and it goes on to be a goal. So you might have a point there. I need to rewatch it really, but where I don't agree is that the nudge is enough to cause his action. I think initially you might be right, and if he'd have just kept his arm where it was, I think he would have got away with it, even though it hit his arm. But he's nudged, and then there's a secondary movement of the arm to the ball. And
that's the one that kills him. Yeah, that's the one that gets him.
Literally, if he hadn't have done that movement and it just the nudge and he'd have kept his arm by his side, I reckon he'd have got away with it. When I first saw it, I didn't think it was a penalty, but then when you see it again, you see that secondary movement, and he's looking at the ball when he does it as well. So it's kind of like, oh, that's where the ball is. But that's how it looks. So yeah, literally when I first saw it, I thought it's never a penalty. And then I saw the replay and thought, yes, it's you got to give it. Got to give it.
I agree with all of that, but he does the arm movement because of the nudge. Because he's like, I'm going to shield this out. He's been nudged, and he's like, oh crap!
I don't know if you can say that.
He's going to shield it, so he nudges his arm to try and get away with one, and he doesn't get away with it.
I'm not convinced by that, because I think if you look at where he's looking, he's not sure where the ball is. He sees the ball, then his arm moves towards it, which says to me there was a deliberate action there.
Next, so penalty then? All in agreement?
Yeah, penalty, yeah.
Okay. I didn't write this one down, but I saw it and I thought, was this missed? Should have been given for offside? So, I can't remember who the player is for Southampton, the one that's in the picture there.
That's Fernandez and B-Tech Shelby.
Yeah, and then Smallbone. So, Alisson is the last man, so the ball moves forward. Do the referees and the liner miss this one because of the situation, or is it a case of...
No, but isn't he behind it?
Who?
It looks like Smallbone's potentially behind the ball. Doesn't matter if it goes forwards or backwards. If he's behind it, he's on the
He doesn't look behind. His foot looks in front of it.
It's a difficult angle.
It's a difficult angle, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of people are saying this should have probably been given as offside.
Maybe. I can't see. I don't know where the fullbacks are or anything. So if there's
basically Alisson's the last man. I think Alisson is the last man. That's where it's I think it's Van Dijk, and I can't remember who's behind him. I think it might be the left back, whoever played left back.
It's got to be Tsimikas.
Yeah, I think it was Tsimikas. That's what I was going to say Robinson, but I don't think he played. But yeah, he touches the ball forward, but Smallbone. Yeah, you're right. It does depend on where Smallbone, if it's behind him or not. But from the way everyone is saying it, his foot was in front, and they kind of missed this one because Alisson technically is the last man. Well, not even the last man. He's the last man. There's no one behind him. Should this have been given as offside, or do you think?
Potentially, but from this picture, there's no way of telling either way. I thought when I saw it come up, I was thinking, surely you're not going to say there's a foul in this. But from now, it makes
offside. It was offside. Yeah. A lot of people are saying it shouldn't be getting offside. Look. I'll wait till Dow's come out and he's told me, because I'm not going to listen to Chris on this one. This one I want a Dow one, but no, in all seriousness, I didn't know, because when I first saw it, I didn't think it was offside, and then it's only because a lot of people were moaning about it over the weekend. I thought, let me put this one in, see what everyone else thought.
And we know for 100% that in the time when the goal was scored, that the offside wasn't checked. Or was checked.
It was checked. It definitely was checked. Yeah.
Oh. So if it was checked, I'm to assume that they felt that it was.
Let's be honest here. When VAR, when it comes to some offsides, they don't get everything 100%.
Oh yeah, no. Of course, they're not going to get everything 100% right. But offsides is probably one of the stronger points where they have.
It is. Yeah. They it's very rare they get an offside, but they have got something wrong in the past.
So for me. So just for
depends if the ref or the liner knew the rules.
True, but is it?
It's a rare rule, isn't it? It's one of those that comes up once in a blue moon, because the goalkeeper's not because the goalkeeper and the defender and where everything is, it kind of blurs the lines a little bit compared to a normal proper offside.
So that's the point I was trying to get to, is does it make it, because of the type of decision it is, does it make it clear and obvious?
That's not a consideration for offside. And also, I disagree with you, Marlon. From a referee's point of view, this is really straightforward. I think where it gets sometimes a bit more
It ain't that
unclear.
straightforward.
Well, straightforward in the sense of they're not looking at it potentially forgetting. You've just got one player there, and you've got two
If it's the
attackers.
goalkeeper, yeah.
The goalkeeper's almost always one of them. When it's unusual is when the goalkeepers run up because you still need two players and two outfield players. The goalkeeper, this is just a normal sort of offside. But I've got to agree with everything that Mitch has said. So I'll veer away from Sink on this one. Go with Mitch. I just don't think there's any discussion to be had based on that. Like, how are you supposed to know? So it was checked, and the technology says that he wasn't ahead of the ball. So I don't think we can say either way by looking at it here. It wasn't missed; it was definitely checked. But you had, I think, if I'm not wrong, I think you had Mike Dean in the studio saying that he thought it was offside. So that's caused some of the discussion. I'd love a better angle, and I'd give you a different opinion, but you can't have an opinion from that angle, and I've not seen another angle of it. So.
This might, because I've just had a quick scroll through X, and there was another image that Dow has. I don't know if he put it up or someone put it to him, and it's not this point. The point's even further back, and Smallbone is clearly on side, so it's where the point of contact to the ball is as well. Because that might not even be the point of contact to the ball; it might just look like it from this angle.
I think it was from this. That's why I took this one. It was this though, because this is the last touch, I believe. Okay. Before he moves forward, this is the last touch. I don't know who I got it from, but that's where I got it from. I don't know. To be honest, I didn't care that much because Liverpool won. If Liverpool lost, I'd have been fuming. They got to cheat. They don't need to cheat. But just on Liverpool and Arsenal, all done and dusted.
It's been done for ages, man.
Look, as Spurs fans, we don't say that until it's official. Because we know.
Mate, it's official. What's the gap now? 16 points, 15 points?
Yeah, but they got a game in hand.
That's what, 12 points with 9 to go. No, silly.
They might smash Chelsea this weekend. You never know.
Come on now. Liverpool got to lose 5 in the last 9 games.
You lot forget, right? You lot forgot. They just won 7-1, and it was be careful in Real Madrid. You're next, or Atletico. Madrid, be careful.
Wrong with a dead-out Man United side.
And yet Man United could hold them to a 1-1 draw.
Yeah. You got Declan Rice shushing the Man United fans.
When it's 1-1.
And they're 15th, for God's sake. Like,
but you know what?
Serious. They're not serious about winning anything.
Drawing 10 games, though. Drawing 10 games. I looked at it and I went, if you're drawing 10 games in a season, that's not good enough, I'm sorry, to win a title. That's way too many for us.
Of course it's not. But that's because they've been missing the key ingredient. That's why they've not been able to convert those draws into wins.
Yeah, but
that's part of the reason why I'm saying they're not serious. Like, they lose 2 of their front 3 and they start crying about injuries.
Yeah, but
you're meant to be challenging for the title. You lose 2 of your front 3. You should have 2 players good enough to come in. I don't want to see injury stuff. Like, you're not a small club, and you haven't been a small club for a long time. You should have 2 players to fill in.
Yeah, and my issue with that is when the last 2 seasons when you were up against City, you didn't lose those players. You had them for 2 seasons straight, and Arteta decided not to sign anybody and thought they were going to survive season 3. I'm sorry, but that's down to you and the way your club's being run. They've had a good season, don't get me wrong, but Saka and Odegaard were eventually going to get injured. Odegaard was unlucky because he got injured on international duty, but we said for years he'd play Saka when they were 5-0 up in games in the Europa League and stuff like that. You're going, what are you doing? Save this guy for better games and when you're progressing in the second half of the season.
Saka played 70 minutes against Bolton in the League Cup.
What's he doing?
Shut up complaining about injuries. He should not be playing 70 minutes in that game. You leave him on the bench. If you're in trouble with 20 to go, you bring him on. That's where the problem comes from. Nothing else.
They had 2. So the first season, the only injury that they had was Saliba, and everyone else they had fit, and that was the bit that messed them up. And then last year, I can't even remember. I don't think they even had that many injuries last year. And unfortunately, City beat them to the title. They've gone this year.
They were crying about Partey not playing, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, but there you go. And then this year, they finally got the injuries that's caught up with everybody, and you want to be moaning like everybody.
Yeah. No,
there's a lot of clubs that will not feel sorry for them. They've done well to only lose 3 games this year, but come on, they should have Havertz getting injured. I'm sorry, how had a striker, knowing that Jesus for the last 3 seasons can't stay fit.
But that's where they dropped the ball and in not securing a marquee striker. Especially, everyone knew that Tony and Osimhen was available in the summer, and one of them two should have been signed. And if they had been, maybe they would be looking at the at an actual title race coming towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Osimhen, I'm sorry, Harry's ended up at at Galatasaray, and so many clubs need a striker. I get there might be an issue there, but come on, he's not no mug.
No, he's a goal scorer.
Goal scorer.
Goals are like.
And you would have thought with Arteta, right? Because obviously he wants Sesko. That's the man he wants. That's the man he's been trying to sign. He bit how he did it with David Raya, right? But he went and got Ramsdale for 2 seasons before he was able to get Raya. Sesko, he might not be the man, but look at what Pep did with Haaland. I'll always use that as a thing because Pep did not want Haaland. He wasn't suiting his style, the way he wanted to play. But he brought him in because no other striker in the world was available, and he was.
Yeah.
Sometimes Plan B does work.
Yeah, but also Haaland wasn't ridiculously priced as well.
Sorry, go on, see.
I was just saying Haaland wasn't ridiculously priced as well, so it made it a little bit more.
And Haaland's goals, regardless. Like when he came to Man City, everybody knew he was all about goals. What Arsenal do is they sign players to solve a problem that no other team that wants to win one of the top 3 or 4 leagues in Europe or win the Champions League would start that player. Havertz wouldn't start for any of these top sides looking to win the Champions League.
To be fair, he's had a good season.
Wouldn't start for any of the top sides looking to win the Champions League. These are the players they're bringing in. Trossard. It was like they signed Trossard because he was a little bit like Jota and it worked for Liverpool. Like, go out and sign a proper fucking striker. They're not serious. And I'm just bored of listening to the nonsense like they're serious, but they're not.
Well, we'll have to see what happens in the summer.
Lee Gunner will be right behind you right now, Mitch. Let's go.
I've listened to too much of it and I'm so bored of it. It's not even on streams. It's like people I talk to at work and stuff like that. It's the same crap that doesn't make any sense. But I just got to listen to it because like I don't want to wind people up all the time, but I'm bored of it now.
Do you know what we really need to do? We need to employ an Arsenal fan to come on this. Because we'll get a totally different scenario.
Speaking of being bored, show that I don't. Can you see my dog? Absolutely collapsed on her back. Like, she's not impressed with this conversation whatsoever.
It's Arsenal, isn't it? So, the Sassy.
Oh my god!
I know there was 2 incidents, but we're looking at the one where he pushes over Shard. Should this have been given as a penalty, or was there not much in it? Was this this goes back to the whole Southampton and Sugawara situation a little bit. Or Sugawara, however you say his name. Was this enough for Shard to go over? Mitch?
Go on, Mitch.
For me, I would say yes. And to back up my opinion on this, Bruno and Bowen had a coming together in the game that's just been on that was very similar. And I also think that should have been a penalty to West Ham. So for me, this should have been a penalty to Brentford. He's in the wrong position. He's knocked him in the back. Shard has gone over. It's a pen for me. It's not, at no point is it shoulder to shoulder. It's like he pushed him in the back.
Yeah, the second image is the bit where the contact is made where he pushes him. This second one, I had to literally do a still image of this.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, my opinion, I think it's a pen. The Sassy's got caught wrong side, and to be fair, he doesn't even really need to make the challenge. It's not like he's going through in on goal, and he can actually sprint to actually put himself in between a shooting opportunity and the goal. But it's just clumsy, and it's too much contact. And whether you feel that Sade's gone down over easy or not, but the contact is there. It's heavy contact. I was listening to the pundits talk on yesterday, and they're saying that he's used too much strength, and it's like, no, you can't use strength in that capacity there.
Especially in that second picture.
You're going through the back of someone. It's a pen. You've impeded him.
Crazy.
So
I even heard someone say that Shada's initiated the contact because he's slowed down. It's like
he's allowed to slow down.
get himself in a position to shoot.
Yeah.
Like he has the right to
Actually,
do that. He doesn't need to keep running at full pace so Disasi doesn't bundle him over.
I mean, if he was able to and could stop on a dime, he could do that as well.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be impeding because he's trying to control the ball.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy why this wasn't given. I actually think the other one that we haven't got is more of a pen.
I think that was actually slightly more interesting.
Yeah.
Why did they not give this a pen, Chris? Why your mates not giving penalties for?
Yeah, I was just watching a replay, but I remember seeing it at the time and thought there wasn't a lot in it, and I'm just watching it again now, and yeah, it's probably one that would stick with the on field no matter what he gives. But I still don't. I still watch it and think that the actions by the Brentford player, I don't think really tally with what he's done. There is no push like that. His arms are kind of up here, which is a bit weird. It does go into his back, but then the way he falls, doesn't fall from a push. He like jumps upwards. Like the falling action has come from his feet, not from his upper body, which is why I think the referee's unconvinced. If it had fallen because of a push, I think he might have got it. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them where, you know, is there a bit of contact? There is. I just don't. I watch that and think, God, if we're going to give a penalty for that, we're going to have about 10 a game.
Yeah, for the start.
It's a difficult one.
That's the thing. Yeah, Mitch, what are you going to say?
There's more contact here to knock Shada over than there is for João Pedro to go down in the earlier one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's gone down in a way that was consistent with being kicked from behind. This guy's gone down in a completely not natural way if you've been pushed.
So you're saying he's dived better?
Yeah, well, I mean, both of them have played for it, right? So both of them have felt contact and gone down. But yeah, it becomes, and it is interesting to compare it to that, because for that one, I'd say this is the problem about refereeing, right? Is it a push to some extent? There is contact, the same that there was with a kick on João Pedro. So what is a penalty? Consistency? You're going to have to give any sort of upper body contact. You're going to have to give any level of kick, right? But do we really want a game like that? I don't think we do. So then it becomes a judgment call of, is that enough to justify what has happened to that player? And that is a matter of opinion, right? So you will get disagreements on this one, as you will do on the João Pedro one. I just look at it and think, you've gone down like an absolute sack of shit here. And it's such an exaggeration. Literally, I've got it on my screen here, which is why I'm looking away to the side. What doesn't help Disasi, actually, the contact comes from his hands being there. But as the guy comes down, Disasi's arm then comes out. So it does sort of look like he's massively pushed him in the back. But I really don't think he has. I think he's just played for it.
He's bundled him over. He's bundled him over. He's in the wrong position and he's clumsy from Disasi.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'd absolutely agree with you on is when a player's in front of a defender, if they want to slow down or stop, or that's up to them. They're the one who's got the ball. Like the defender has then got an obligation not to foul. So that point, whoever made that point to you, is a load of nonsense. But yeah, it's just whether do you think really that the contact there? So going back to a more exaggerated version of this, the Ashley Young one for Everton the other week, where they decided that the way that Young's gone down is absolutely not in keeping whatsoever with the actions of Maguire, which I agree with. This is similar, I think, but a lot less. You know, a lot greyer than that one. So yeah, just a matter of opinion. I saw it. I didn't feel there was much in it. And if I was on VAR, I wouldn't be going, I think you've made an absolute howler here.
Ref's blind, mate. Ref's blind. All right, let's get to the soft one. All right. When Mitch texted this, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? But let's talk about it.
Sorry, do you know what? That wasn't even serious. I was hoping one of you would bite on the group. I didn't realise it would pop up.
Look, Mitch, you should have seen from the gameplay, yeah, and everything that was going on. No Spurs fans are going to bite right now. We couldn't give two shits.
You know what the funniest thing is? I put it in our group, and Stocky bit in a completely different group. And I was like, what are you biting for? Am
I right, Chris? We don't give two craps. If this doesn't, we were like, all right, cool.
Just to emphasise how much of a crap we don't. I didn't even go. I'm a season ticket holder, and I can't be arsed. Like, so disconnected to this club. But I saw it summarised really well the other day. There's so many problems at Tottenham, but Levy and the owners make me feel disconnected. Ange makes me feel embarrassed. Like the way we play, it is embarrassing. It's not Levy that makes me embarrassed. It's Ange. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere apparently was very odd. We didn't even kind of get behind the team when we were coming. I mean, we deserved to get absolutely battered yesterday. They were miles better than us. But this is a straightforward one. It's similar in a way.
Hold on. All right. You're last. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me.
So if the last one's not a penalty, then this is the same thing as the last one, really, isn't it?
Go on. Explain.
Well, he's waited for the contact and gone down.
But he's got the contact. The contact's there.
It's less contact than what Disasi's just put in on what's his face?
No, but do you know what? No. This is probably the worst goalkeeping mistake. Yeah.
Mullen, it goes back to my question. If you allow the question,
to be fair, we agreed it was a penalty before, so me and you were in agreement. So I get what you're saying, but this is ridiculous because I think everybody, even if you don't watch football, saw that ball go clean through, saw Kepa come out and went, we know exactly what the next step's going to be.
Yeah, I said penalty about 3 seconds before the contact.
It was like the dumbest thing I've ever watched in football over the last how many years. I think for Spurs fans, we're like, I can't believe a goalkeeper's actually doing us a favour because usually they'd come to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and just literally have the game of their lives.
Yeah.
But Kepa, it was a brave part because he's played well all season, and I was like, what are you doing?
I think he's Ange's love child. That's what it is. I think he's Ange's love child. So
it could be Spanish little love child.
Pace the other week and thought, goalies have got pace. We could get.
But this is like the most blatant penalty you'd ever give. I don't even think it's so dumb.
It is 100% stonewall a penalty. But I just want to sort of touch on Sink's point that he made a minute ago. The Sassy one, in the striker situation, yeah, so the João Pedro one and this one, I reckon I wouldn't have to go to ground. The Sassy one, I reckon I would have to go to ground. I don't think I'd be able to stay up, so he would have knocked me over. These two situations, I could stay on my feet.
Getting the penalty.
Yeah, both of this and the João Pedro one, I could stay on my feet. I think the Sassy one, I couldn't. So I don't understand how we can say that this is a penalty and Pedro's a penalty, but the one that I'm pretty sure that would knock me off my feet, the one out of the 3 that would, is not a penalty. That's the thing that baffles me.
I agreed that I when Pedro wasn't a penalty, and then I said, what's his name? Shard was. So I'm going to be in this one. This is just one of those stonewall, nothing you can do. Goalkeepers, I don't know what he's doing because he's going away from goal. And every striker in the world, even defenders, are going to go down in this situation because Kepa's just committed himself.
Mm-hmm. Literally, you touch the ball and then you just lift your feet off the floor and wait for the contact.
Because it was coming. It was always coming.
Yeah, it's always just going to clatter into it.
Yeah. Next time, don't try and bite our Spurs fans because we're not ready. We don't care.
But also, he does lean into it a little bit.
He does, but he knows what he's doing because he's a smart. He's not stupid, is he?
But that's what you do in this situation. You get a touch on the ball and you just lift your feet off the floor so you don't roll an ankle and take the contact.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. You're just protecting yourself so you don't get injured while you're going to take a dive. As Thierry Henry has always said, like most of the time, in the end, he had to go down in certain situations because if he stayed on his feet, he weren't getting the free kick or the penalty. So in the end, apart from his handball, everything else, he used to dive a lot as well.
And you've got more chance of getting injured. If someone tries to clatter you and you hurdle it and they clip you slightly and you try and stay on your feet, you will land awkwardly and you've got more chance of getting injured. You might as well just hit the floor and roll.
Should I tell you the most controversial bit about this whole thing? How the hell Son took a penalty like that and got away with it?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
What the hell? The
Almost
penalty
as
was-
bad as this actually one the other week.
I think VAR should have intervened and gone, take that again.
that is too muggy.
He took, well, yeah. Chris, go and explain this.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? There's no obligation of the striker to get out of the way. So just get to the ball first, just wait for the contact, and it's a foul. For me, the difference is that, yeah, Son's waited for the contact. Probably all three of these have. But Son, and I'm not saying Pedro hasn't kind of emphasised the contact to make the referee make the decision. But I think they've both gone down inconsistent with the way that the contact has happened with them. I think Sade's gone down like he's just been like a juggernaut has just entered the pitch and wiped him out, and I just don't think it's consistent with the contact there. So yeah, there's contact in all three. So ultimately, if you want absolute consistency, you have to get to the point where any contact is a penalty, which I think would be an absolutely awful place for the game to end up. And if we're not going to want that, which I don't think we should, then we have to accept that people are going to disagree. But that's why a referee came into football in the first place. There wasn't referees initially. They used to try and come to an agreement between them. One lot of people thought one thing, one lot of people thought another. So they thought, well, let's get someone independent. I'm sure the Arsenal fans will point out that the referee at the weekend was from Manchester, but let's get someone independent. But that's what football's always been ever since the start. It's decisions that are debatable, and you've just got to go with the guy who doesn't have a dog in the fight.
Yeah, let's sub VAR. Let's get people at home voting on what the decision is. There's 20 people at home going, yeah, no, penalty. We all vote.
You've got 60 seconds to vote on your red button.
Yeah, the only problem with that is any
if you're cooking a VAR,
the Arsenal fans always hijack it. So they'd be winning the league by miles.
No. The stipulation is that you can't have any affiliation to any Premier League club. So we let teams like Wrexham and people like that who don't have a dog in the fight.
We'll find a way. Arsenal fans would find a way, man.
Manchester City will get relegated.
Yeah, I love that.
Pep will be out of it. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, penalty. Mitch tried to make us buy it, but he didn't. He just picked the wrong week.
Wait. You might not have bitten a group, but you put it on here. That's the ultimate bite, bro. That's the biggest bite I could have got.
Look, most Spurs fans didn't even want the penalty because it meant it saved Ange for another week. So
I wanted the penalty because it meant Bournemouth drop points. So thank you very much. And I had Ange as my manager for fantasy football this week.
That'd be the only points he'll be getting for you, mate, because we've got Fulham next, and we're playing Thursday. So yeah, it ain't happening.
I'll start with this week because you're not more than 5 points, but 5 places behind Fulham. So I'll look for someone new.
Okay, let's get to the biggest talking point of the weekend. Oh, where's it gone? Dun, dun, dun. The wall, Wallgate. So what's people's opinion on this? Because, to be honest, I couldn't care less.
Yeah. So, for me, looking at this, whoever the Arsenal captain is has not done his job here. So every time that I look at a free kick lined up like this and I can see that the wall is too far back for my team, I would go to the ref and go, ref, the ball's 4 yards outside the edge of the D there, and I'm nearly on the penalty spot. The edge of the D to the penalty spot is 10 yards.
Who was the ref? Anthony Taylor. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, that doesn't add up. He can't be 4 yards outside the D, and I'm nearly on the pen spot. This ain't right. And that normally triggers something for them to think, actually, yeah, he could be right here. So if that hasn't happened, the Arsenal captain hasn't done his job.
I thought Anthony Taylor couldn't referee big matches in Manchester because he lived close by, but can't he do a Manchester derby? Maybe that's the one he can't do.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, those aren't stipulations at all. They're just things that fans moan about for ages.
No, I'm pretty sure that he can't do a Manchester derby. That's the only one he can't do. He's not allowed
they might try and keep him off certain things just to avoid controversy, but very rarely is there anything they can't do. But they do have to declare who they supported and if any of their family have ever been members or season ticket holders at any clubs. So and then they can't do them, right? But
Well, that's weird because I know I've forgotten his name, old ref, but his brother was a season ticket holder at Arsenal, but he was a Bolton fan. Can't remember who it was. I'll get the name later, but I knew that.
Mark Halsey, probably.
Yeah, Halsey. That's it. That's him. I see you straight away. You knew. But he did Arsenal games. He hated
Yeah,
Arsenal.
I mean,
He hated his brother.
Rules might have been different then. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so
I'll give you a quick Mark Halsey story. I went training once with the Premier League refs. I got asked to go up there, not because I was any good, just because I worked for the FA. And I've never been that fit, particularly. And I went up there and we were sort of jogging, doing the fitness sessions, and they're all absolutely killing me, right? Clattenburg was like unreal. He was just like a machine. But anyway, there was only one ref who I could keep up with, and that was Mark Halsey. Now, that sounds bad on Mark Halsey's perspective, but there's a little bit more to it than that. He was in remission from cancer at the time.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
And no training for like a year. He was getting chemotherapy, and like I could just about keep up with him. I mean,
to be fair to the rest, they are fit. But just on this, what's his name? Who's your guy, Mitch? Who supports you lot? What's his name? The one that Arsenal fans hate.
Oh, yeah, you lot told me this the other week, and I didn't even know. I can't remember what his name is now.
What's his name? Oliver. Yeah, Oliver. Oliver's a Newcastle fan. He's the only Premier League supporting referee that I can know that's concrete. So
that's because there's no other teams in the North East. That's why.
Yeah, but it means he can't do Sunderland either. Sunderland, mate. Sunderland. All them Sunderland fans out there, peace.
Happens.
But yeah. What was he saying? Yeah. So in this situation, you're blaming the rep, you're blaming the captain, Sink. What are you doing in this situation?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of naivety from the Arsenal players not making more of it, making the ref either recount it or.
But it won't be the only situation though, will it? Where if we went and took every free kick this season, the ones that have missed and one scored, I bet you they're not all exactly 10 yards.
Yeah,
I bet
they're not exactly.
But when
they're not all exactly. But if you significantly can tell that it is, I don't even know at the time if Arsenal players could tell that they were too far back.
Yeah, but that's kind of your job as a captain to notice these little things. So, like, if it's anywhere else on the pitch, there's no real markers for you to flag something up in the ref. Because if you go to the ref, recount that, he's going to go, "Why are you telling me what to do? Go away." But if you give him some reference points of the edge of the D, the penalty spot, that make him think, actually, yeah, that does make a bit of sense. He might rethink it. He might not.
Do you know? I'll give you an example. Yeah, if this is a Jordan Henderson, I think he switches on to something like this. Someone like Jordan Henderson, whereas Odegaard isn't going to be switched on to something like this.
Interesting. So you lot blaming the captains?
If he hasn't flagged
at the end of the day, the referee only believes that he's counted 10 yards, isn't it, in his mind?
Well,
he doesn't think
he does take 10 steps. They did count that when they took it back on Sky Sports. They actually counted his steps. Whether they were correct steps is another totally different question because everyone measures distance differently.
In the ref's mind, he believes that he's counted out 10 yards.
Yeah, but he could do the same again and count exactly the same steps.
He could, but if he counts exactly the same steps again, then fair enough. But once you give him the reference points of the edge of the D and the penalty spot, and the disparity of where the ball is and where the wall is, in his head, he's going to think, actually, that doesn't look right. Maybe I should step it out again. You don't go to a ref, you're wrong, walk it again, because he will ignore you. You can't talk like that to a ref and get any kind of positive response.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at. What do you think about David Raya? Should he have saved it?
His starting position. I don't know really, because you can get caught on your side. So maybe he's trying to put in the mind of the free kick taker to go to the opposite side, but he just hasn't gotten over quick enough. The
bit that bugs me, and I'm not. Look, he's an elite goalkeeper, and I'm not. The bit that bugs me is before the free kick's taken, because when he's literally on one side, I sit there and go, he's never going to save that. It's then when he moves before that free kick is taken. He literally moves before that free kick is taken, and then you're kind of saying if it goes in the other corner and you're going to take that risk, fine. People say you should have saved it, fair enough. But with this, because it's not quite clean in the corner, I thought he could have saved it. I don't know why.
He probably would feel that he could save it. So I think it was probably a mistake in terms of his starting position why he wasn't able to make to make any save.
Mitch, do you think so? But you lot are in agreement. The captains, I'm blaming the keeper.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm looking at it again, and could he have done a little bit better? Maybe. I wouldn't say he should do a little.
Do you know what? I'm looking at it going, the type of level goalkeeper that Raya is, and he's a very good goalkeeper. I have to admit, he's a very top draw goalkeeper. I expect him to save this if this level that he's at.
The other thing you have to take into account is the size of all of these players in his wall. So he's backed them. He's basically backed his wall and said, right, they're going to jump. Bruno Fernandes is not getting that one down, so that he's on my side.
Don't dive and move back to the way you were, because it's where he looks. For me, you're right, but where I'm going, why does he then move to the left? If he stays where he is, trust your wall, is what I'm looking at it. And if it goes over, it goes in, because what you're supposed to do, you've put the wall there, and they haven't done their job. Admittedly, this is the point of, then you can moan about these 11.2 yards, but because he moves then slightly to the left, he obviously has no trust in his wall.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think there's two things here. One, the technician in terms of Fernandes in executing a free kick, and if you've given Fernandes or someone of that caliber a player, and you've given him an advantage of the wall being back an extra yard, you've made it easier for him to execute that. So it kind of throws off the save that you're expecting Raya to make, because everything in front of him is all off. One, the technician in front of him is a top caliber player, and the wall is to the advantage of the free kick taker. It's not in the goalkeeper's advantage anymore.
So shall I tell you the little trick I do when I'm in goal in this situation? I don't put as many people in the wall.
Yeah, you might do that. It doesn't matter
because it puts the player. For me, when you put so much more people in the wall, then your vision is gone. Your vision's gone, so you can't really say for him. He has to make that decision. And two, from the technique, if Raya stands in the middle of the goal, look, I'm not an elite goalkeeper, but I've never let in a free kick, so I'm going to take that as a win. But it then gives you the freedom of movement, and you know where he's going to go, because if he goes over the 3-man wall, you've got time to move across. If he goes the way that you're standing in, which is highly unlikely, because you've already made the mind up for him where he's going to have to go. He has to go over that 3-man wall. That you've got time to get across, and then you've got enough players in the box to hopefully them 2 players you're taking out will stop it in the box. Hopefully, that's just my way of playing.
There's no left footer standing just off the screen here, is there? Because now you've said that, it makes perfect sense, because the person on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the wall,
I've got another picture here.
Weightless if Bruno Fernandes is the only player stood over it.
So looking at the other picture, do you know who's right of Bruno Fernandes?
Who?
Anthony Taylor.
So what you've just said is right. From the time that I played in goal, the guy on the left-hand side of the wall and the guy on the right-hand side of the wall are completely pointless in this situation.
And I was, because I remember I don't know what coach told me this, but they're the ones who said, I never understand why goalkeepers put so many in the wall. Because in a situation like this, sometimes if it's in the middle of the goal, maybe there and thereabouts.
The stood over this as well. The guy on the left-hand side of the wall is
relevant. Yeah, but even then, I'd go with it and go, if I give him a less of an angle to try and dip it over, I want him to go around it. Then hopefully I've got enough. If I'm quick enough, I've got enough time to get across. If it's going to be left or right, because I can make that decision quite quickly. This is just me. I'm not saying I'm not an elite goalkeeper. This is just me when I'm thinking of goal. But I've touched wood. I've faced so many free kicks, and I've not let in one since. I've let in other stupid goals. Wait.
I'm not trying to burst your bubble here, Marlon. We played in a final over Wadham Lodge, and the first goal was from a free kick.
It wasn't goal. Sure, it wasn't goal.
You sure about that? Because you didn't go first half and came out second half.
Was I?
Yes, 100%. I made a free kick. It was wide on the left. For some reason, I played right back in the first half, which was crazy as it was.
Hold on. Before you carry on, was this the final I scored a hat-trick in?
Second half, you came on. I think you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. Wait.
So everyone heard that, right? Everyone heard that.
Add,
I came out second half. I
got 2 of the assists for that hat trick, by the way.
I don't care. Did I not score a hat trick?
So when you came out a goal, when I went to the mid, we got back in the game.
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, you're right. That was the one time I did let in a free kick. Yeah, but
so there's one.
There is one. Yeah, there is one. We found one. Yeah, but in my adult age, because I was young then, in my adult age, I've never let in one since. Oh, and to be fair, I don't know. Before I met the coach, because I know who the coach was. Sink knows who the coach was. I met the coach afterwards, after that situation.
Fair enough.
And I've never let in one since. Watch this space. I'll do it. I bet you the next game I play in, I'll let one in. Loads of corners though. I'm not no corners. But yeah, just let people know I scored a hat trick that game. Second half. But yeah, Chris, what can you do in this situation as a player if you think the wall is the wall is beyond 10 yards?
From the Arsenal fans' reaction, you'd think Anthony Taylor was the one who stepped up and curled it into the corner, wouldn't you, really? But
he did.
I mean, to be honest, the whole situation saddens me a little bit about this is where football is. Like, people say the referees are worse than they ever have been. I completely think that's absolutely incorrect. It's this kind of shit. No one ever would have analysed games like this before. And I worry that this opens up a whole can of worms now, that the Arsenal fans will be over every free kick that Liverpool get going, look, it's 9.7 yard. And like, oh, for Christ's sake. So, for a start, there's probably, 10 of these a game? I don't know. But let's just say there's 10 a game. That's 100 a weekend, 38 weekends, and 3,800 pacing out of 10 yards in a game. They haven't got any tools to do it. All different people. There's going to be a difference, right? So maybe this is on the slightly longer edge, but the laws say at least 10 yards. It doesn't say 10 yards, right? It says the opposing players have to be at least 10 yards
away. At least 10
yards,
yards, unless it's on the line.
There's not, yeah, exactly. So unless the free kick is an indirect free kick in the area that's less than 10 yards from goal, they have to be on the goal line in between the posts. But that you rarely see that anymore because that came from a pass back, and you never get a free kick for that, do you? So to be honest, the whole thing just saddens me. And the attitude of fans these days that this is the ref's fault when you've got the goalkeeper who seems to have mistaken his goal, like he thinks the goal has suddenly expanded to about 30 yards and gone wandering off in the wrong direction. Like, he's miles away, the keeper. And it doesn't even go in the corner, right? It goes in about 1.5 yards inside the goal.
That's the biggest issue, yeah. I think there's more issues.
But we're not going to blame him. The wall didn't jump. We're not going to blame them. The wall didn't move forward like most walls would. And they compared it to the Liverpool one, I think later in the day or whatever it was, when or was it Man United, when they were shuffling forward. The wall didn't do that, but now it's the ref's fault, isn't it? So, yeah, I mean, but what you guys have said is right. Like, if I'm a ref, I'd have no objection to a player saying, that seems a bit far, ref. I'll go, right, I'll pace it out again. The number of paces are complete irrelevance. Like, we've all got different stride lengths, right? So I think I can't remember now, it wasn't 10. I think maybe I did 9 strides. So I used to measure it, like, to try and get an idea. But am I going to do that consistently every single time? I'm sure I'm not. I'm sure sometimes the wall was a bit too near. Sometimes it was a bit further away. That's just life, right? But what's the next iteration of this? A referee's going to go out with some sort of laser device and stuff. You can get on your phone, can't you, where you measure it from one point to another and it tells you how far it is. Is that what we're going to get? Are we going to get some camera beaming onto the pitch 10 yards from the ball? I could see that. I could almost visualize that happening.
Any text helpful?
Yeah. I just find the whole situation a bit sad, really. But 100%, there's no... I don't think referees are that arrogant that he'd happily pace it out again. He might end up at the same place. And at that stage, if I've done it twice and you're not happy with it, I'm like, you're getting on with it, boys. I'm afraid that's just life. But yeah, is this what we really want from football? That we're going to start analysing stuff like this?
Of course. That's why we've got a show, Chris. What do you want? What do you want from us?
But one thing to point out, because this is the VAR section, VAR can do nothing about this. Right.
Yeah, no. This was just the add-in.
I know that's not why you've added it, but people watching might be thinking, well, why didn't VAR get involved? Well, they can't. This is not within their remit, so you just have to suck it up, really. But maybe just make your goalkeeper and your wall do the job, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it, would you? So,
Any other business? Is there anything else that we've missed over the weekend that anybody wants to bring up? Apart from Newcastle winning today, and Stocky's not here.
Can't really think of anything that comes to mind.
Spurs still crap for you lot?
Yeah.
Nothing
changed. He was lucky to get a draw.
No, he wasn't. No, we wasn't.
Was. Should have been 4-0 down before you even got an opportunity to get a goal. And you know what? To be fair, to be funny, had Sarr actually scored before Bournemouth got their second goal, where Maddison laid it off for him, maybe you guys actually would have won that game.
Well, do you not think though the goal that was done for offside? How great was that goal, by the way?
Yeah, Bournemouth played some really quality stuff throughout.
Semenyo, what is he doing, man? Just get on side.
Yeah,
he was so lazy.
Error that one.
It was.
By the way, just to add into that, I don't always defend officials. I thought that was an absolute shocker by the assistant that he couldn't see that.
Yeah, he didn't.
I thought that was appallingly poor from the.
Yeah, but that's because he was too busy watching that good Bournemouth was taking apart Ange.
That was scintillating football, though. That counter was
because I said yesterday the second goal from Bournemouth. I know a lot of Spurs fans would be screaming, but I thought even that was a great movement and great goal. Yeah. The first goal was a great cross, but there's so many errors from Spurs players that could have been stopped. But with the second goal, I said it was a great goal. Sometimes you just have to applaud when a good goal is scored against you. And I thought Kluivert and Even Nilsson, even though me and Mitchie are going to have that debate about Even Nilsson and Teta, I still don't know which one I prefer. I've been watching it over the last few weeks, and I'm like, now that Even Nilsson's back, yesterday he was good. His movement was excellent, but Mateta is something slightly different.
Yeah, he's a little bit more of a brute force.
Yeah,
but
it depends. It depends on what you need, innit, for your forward team. If that's a great question. If Arsenal had the choice between Even Nilsson and Mateta right now, who would be the more likely destination for them to cope in their system?
I think Mateta, just because he is a bit more of a focal point and he's not as dynamic. I think they've got enough dynamic players around, and they just need someone that's going to stay central.
Bit like Eze.
Yeah.
You're me, Mitch. Can't hear you. Your sound's gone. Put some headphones in. He's done. He's done. But
I'll speak for him because I reckon he was going to say Even Nilsson, and I would think Even Nilsson would fit in much better at Arsenal. I think Mateta's more your sort of I mean, he's got a bit of skill for him, but he's a bit more of an old-fashioned target man kind of guy.
It was watching Even Nilsson yesterday again, because obviously he's been injured for months, and I just thought his movement is quality. But I can get the Mateta would be great for Spurs in the way we play. Well, if we could play football.
Yeah, I just have no energy to discuss. But the one thing I would say, the only thing I'm going to say is how anybody, Spurs fans in particular, but how anyone can watch the first goal that we concede, where Pedro Porro is in a central midfield position, gives the ball away to their fullback and runs completely unopposed up the entire length of the pitch, and say that is not a tactical issue and that's not on Ange. I've got no idea. If you don't think that is tactics going wrong, I don't even know where to have a discussion like that. Just demonstrates everything that's, well, not everything. One of the many, many things that's wrong with us.
I blame Eddie Howe. He can't say nothing. I blame Eddie Howe. It's all his fault.
I do think the only thing I will say on Ange, though, actually, is I get yesterday was the first time I thought the crowd were turning against Ange. I think Ange they've been super patient with Ange and not turned on him, whereas I have ages ago. The Spurs fans as a whole haven't. I get the impression from his body language that I think he thinks he's done. I just don't think. I think there's almost like an acceptance across the board now that this isn't working and we're going to have to change. And Whether that's Friday morning that he gets the sack, or whether that's the end of the season.
When he wins Manager of the Month, yeah?
I don't know. I mean, hopefully not.
Is he unbeaten this month?
So he lost. The only one he lost to was Manchester City, but who he's up against, everybody's kind of lost one because it's Glasner who's got 8. No, Glasner's got the same amount. Has got 9 as well, but he lost one, and then Moyes has got 8 points because he drew 2-1-2, and there's one other.
We won 3 and lost 1, didn't we?
Yeah, that was just, and I think he'll get away with it because it was against Manchester City. I think I can't remember who the other manager is. There was another one. No, I can't think. Was it Eddie Howe? Yes or no, Mitch? It wasn't Eddie, was it? No, he's not good enough.
I'm massively of the view now that, in my personal opinion, I get I don't think we could get a new manager in, the one we wanted, right? We're too near the end of the season. But I just don't see, if we go out on Thursday, I just don't see the point in keeping him. Like, I think...
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I have to say, leave the bench empty.
Genuinely, that sounds like almost like a silly thing to say, but actually, in my opinion only, speculation, I can't give you much evidence here, but I think Friday morning, players get called in, Ange's been given the sack. I reckon half of them instantly, their morale is lifted. Whoever takes up, even Ryan Mason is not going to invert both fullbacks at the same time. So I think we improve instantly, straight away, just by getting rid of him. So that's why I'd get rid of him now. Target whoever you want next and try and work on getting him in the summer. For me, it would be Iraola, but
I think yesterday his audition failed for me.
I thought he absolutely passed. I know they drew 2-2.
No. The reason why he didn't pass for me is because he was up against a manager that was tactically inept, and he managed to not be able to keep the lead against a manager that kind of, and it wasn't nothing to do with our quality.
They should have scored loads, right? Their attacker didn't score them, and we only scored from an absolute fluke and from a keeper moment of madness. We didn't break them down defensively in any way, and if they,
well, we did for this for us to be clean through and Sun to be clean. We broke them down. It wasn't the first time. We did a couple of times in the second half break them down, and he didn't see the danger. And for me, once you start getting to 2 games a week, I get what everyone's seeing. I don't think Areola is going to be the manager that's going to be he's not going to be the manager that everyone thinks he's going to be for Spurs.
I thought the patterns of play, the structure, the way that they were very clear in what they were doing, the way they pressed us high up the pitch, was everything that Ange claims his teams are.
Yeah, but I'm not comparing it. Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm not going to sit there and compare it to Ange, because we need to set a level if we want to move forward as a football club. And for me, there's parts of Areola that I've seen in the last 5 games where I am being concerned.
Yeah, but you've got to bear in mind the players he's playing. Just look at the lineups. Our players are much, much better than his, and the level he's getting out of
not front three wise.
I think they could be.
He's got a better front three than us. I don't care what anyone says. He does.
Yeah, but that's based on what they've done throughout the course of the season. If you had
no. I'm basing that because if I looked at the beginning of the season and you told me this was going to be our front three, right? I clearly knew someone was off it. Solanke, I never put 100% trust in. I knew he was a good striker, and I know the way Ange plays. And then I'm stuck with Brennan Johnson, and then I've seen Semenyo tear it up last year. I've seen Cliver tear it up last year. The only question I had with Bournemouth this year would have been even Nilsson.
I can kind of shoot that down straight away because yes, Solanke's not been great, but last season when he was playing for Iraola and they played in a way to his strengths, at his best season ever.
No, right? But what I mean by that is, but I still think their front three is better than ours. It's not Solanke's not my issue. My issue is the wingers. My biggest issue is the wingers. Their wingers, Semenyo and Cliver, are better than ours.
Yeah, but at the start of the season, surely you would have only taken 1 for 1. Right now, you might take ball.
No. At the beginning of the season, I would have sat there and told you, apart from Solanke and even Nilsson, because I didn't know how even Nilsson was going to play, because that would have been it. But I would have taken Bournemouth's wingers over ours because Son wasn't hitting the form last year either. No. He was playing up top. Our front three. No, because it was Timo Werner and I'm relying on Timo Werner, Odobert, Brennan Johnson. These are not very good players. I'm sorry, they're not, and I don't get why people. You can sit there. The 2 up front, yes, I can sit there and go fine. Solanke and even Nilsson at stretch, but the rest of the front three, Bournemouth have a better front three than Spurs. and they're not the only club. Most
Well,
of
yeah, no, clearly they're not, because you look where you are in the league.
yeah, and this is once the transfer window closed. As soon as you left me with all that squad, that front three, I'm done. I've been saying for 2 years our front three is crap. Even when it was Son last year, I was up playing up top. Our front three is useless, and that is part of the reason why we are where we are.
I don't think they're that useless. I mean, we have scored a lot of goals, but I think if you get a manager in who plays to players' strengths,
No. Our front three. You're going to sit there and tell me that Brennan Johnson is going to score goals for another manager? No, come on. He can't even dribble. Come on, you're being disingenuous here.
Yeah,
I think you get a manager that plays to their strengths. He was much better at Forest, right?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was not good at Forest. He was good in the Championship. He was not good at Forest. I'm sorry, he wasn't. He was nowhere near £50 million player.
I think we've
Brennan
got.
Johnson's one of the few right wingers in the league that I would still take Jacob Murphy over.
Thank you. Don't sit there and tell me Brennan Johnson was good before he joined Spurs, because he wasn't. Timo Werner was not good before he joined Spurs. Odegaard was not good in the Premier League for Burnley last year. Son hasn't been good as a winger for 3 years. Another manager does not change anything with that front three.
I absolutely think it does. 100%.
I don't think it does.
I'm not saying they're elite.
No. I think it changes stuff defensively. I don't think our front three is anywhere near to what other Premier League front threes are. I don't know where you guys.
That's where you play people to strengths. If you play Son and ask him to do a defensive job, it's mental.
Son before Postecoglou turned up, his season under Conte wasn't any good either.
Finished top scorer,
but it wasn't. No, 13 or 14 goals. He wasn't performing. Everyone said he was past it.
I don't think he's past it at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think he's going to get back to his same levels. I think you play a system that doesn't suit him. I think you put Mo Salah into our team. I think he looks shit.
Yeah,
I don't think he does. I don't think he does. I don't think Mo Salah. Personally, I don't. I think that's quite wrong, because Mo Salah's playing with Darwin Nunez and still looking world class.
Ange wouldn't even pick Salah because he wouldn't do enough work for the team.
He would. He would. I'm not sitting there saying Ange's great, but I don't think our front three is that great either.
I don't think they're elite, but I think almost all of our players are much, much better than they're showing at the moment. And that's what I defend Porro. I don't think Porro is amazing. You can criticize Porro for the first goal for a poor pass. You can't criticize him for being in central midfield, because that's what he's told to do. It's not.
And to be fair to Porro, he actually did get back, but he just couldn't get tight enough to the man for the.
But Brendan Johnson should have helped him out as well, because Brendan Johnson is then lazy and doesn't even think that, oh my God, let me try and run back as well to help Porro out, because that's different. But I'm not saying anything about defense. That's not my issue here. I still personally think our front three is awful compared to other front threes in the Premier League, and I don't care what manager we have. We'd still have the same issue.
The problem that you'll have with that is like the point that you've made throughout the course of the season, and Chris pointed out, is that you have scored a lot of goals this season.
But that's going to be down to Ange and his system, unfortunately.
And if you play to Solanke's strengths,
because you're looking at it, you're sitting there going, we've scored a lot of goals, but that's down to Ange why we've scored a lot of goals in the system he plays, unfortunately. So take away Ange's system, I don't think the front three perform in the same way. Maybe Solanke performs a lot better. Who knows?
Yeah, well, exactly. I don't see how you can say Solanke last season.
But Solanke still has. Yeah, but Solanke doesn't have Semenyo and Thingy feeding him. He has Son, technically, who doesn't really put in crosses feeding him, and Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner and Odegaard.
We would sign players, right? It's not like we can't sign new players.
But we wouldn't. We'd keep signing the wingers that we're doing. We've been signing these players for the last 2 years. Trust me, we'll be when the next manager comes in, it'll be the exact same thing. It will be
macro and micro problems, right?
Yeah, because
so in that sense, we might as well not bother with the new manager, because no manager is going to be able to take us.
No, my thing is we need to sign a better front three.
Iraola gets us, I think.
So if you put Brendan Johnson and Son with Bournemouth right now, you really think they're going to be turning up trees?
Yeah, but you might see a different level from them.
We'll see.
I don't think Johnson has another level.
I don't like. I really don't get the
But you
concept of
don't-
why people seem
His
Johnson's a
game is
really good
so
player.
basic.
If you've got a
Johnson's
player
game
who's
is
got-
based off the fact that he can run quickly to get into a good position unchallenged. If as soon as he faces a challenge, he
But
is rubbish.
And he's excelled under
like a lot
Ange.
of-
You
that's
just
like
look
a
at the
lot of
difference
bad
between Johnson for Wales and Tottenham. He's in better positions for Tottenham because that's where Ange wants him to play in the system, unfortunately, and that's why he scores goals. And I've said this, I just don't in an Ange system, he works. But put him in another system, he's crap. He's awful. He's an awful player.
I'd say the opposite. I don't think he does work particularly well because he can't cross. So why keep telling him to cross the ball in? I think a manager who's got half a brain uses him in a different way and go, this guy can't cross the ball. Maybe don't keep telling him to cross the ball. Maybe, as if you listen to the Forest fans, they say that he's the worst signing for an Ange system. I don't get why we signed him because Brennan Johnson, you've got to play on the counter. You've got to have space in behind and run into open space. Ange wants to try and dominate high up the pitch. He can't beat a man. He can't cross the ball. So he's completely unsuited to Ange's system. Yes, he can drift in at the back post, and we've seen that. But apart from that, he does nothing, right? But in a different system, as we saw at Forest, and as I think Iraola's got half a brain, so he would.
You say we saw it. We did not see that at Forest in the Premier League. We did not see that at Forest.
We did.
We did not see it. We did not see it. He was awful at Forest. He couldn't dribble then, and he didn't score as much. He scored more goals in. He scored more goals in the Spurs system than he has in Forest system.
He has, but you're saying he's awful. But the Forest fans just wouldn't agree with you. So,
but yet they've done better when he left.
Yeah.
So
a few of the Forest fans that I've spoken to
play under Nuno though.
Huh? Did he play under Nuno? He played under Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't get to play under Nuno under this system, though, did he?
I don't think it even matters because I've seen him play for Wales and I've seen him play for Forest.
Because
Hudson Odoi and Elanga are so much better than him.
But you're looking at it based on what they're doing this season, isn't it?
No. I would still look at it and go, I can sit there and tell you, Elanga and Hudson Odoi might not have had the best careers of their lives because they've been injured and whatever's happened to them, but I can clearly see they can get on the ball and dribble.
They're completely different. They're genuine wingers. When he played at Forest, he was like an inside forward.
But actually, you've hit the nail on the head. They're different wingers, and that's why they work for Nuno. Brendan Johnson ain't working for Nuno.
Yeah, but he's not paid for Nuno.
But they're different. The wingers that he's got work
better in a system that plays to his strengths.
But Nuno's not going to play that because I've watched Nuno for 10 games when he was at Spurs, and Brendan Johnson's not going to work for him.
Maybe not. But that's based on your opinion. But in reality, we don't know.
Yeah, of course we don't know. But I'm basing it on what I've seen of what Brendan Johnson for other managers.
But what I'm saying is,
Brendan Johnson's best forms come under Ange, unfortunately, in the top 5.
Yeah. But you said.
I don't agree with that. His best goal return, Mike. I don't think his best form.
Yeah, but that's all because his goal return is the only thing we can base it on because he's never been able to dribble.
No, but the thing is, he may not have to dribble because if you're saying that he benefits from counter-attacking football, that's what Nottingham Forest has been doing all season, and all of his probably majority of his goals for Spurs have come in counter-attack situations where he's been able to get in at the back post and just tap it in.
If he
Is he gone?
Yeah, Chris, your sound's not coming through.
Sorry. I think I was still on mute. I think if he plays under a Conte system, for example, you'd see a much, much better player.
We wouldn't see him because Conte would not be accepting a player like that.
I think he would. He'd be lethal on the counter attack.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. No.
You're not asking.
I know you're. I know what you're thinking because Ange is that much of a bad manager. But to sit there and tell me that Brendan Johnson would do a lot better under a different manager, I'm sorry, I'm not having that. Not Brendan Johnson. He's not very good. As Mitch has pointed out, he's like a Jacob Murphy.
I don't think anyone's saying he's going to be elite, but I think there's almost no players in our current squad who don't improve by having a manager who plays to their strengths, which Ange absolutely doesn't for almost every. I think the only player we really play in the right position is Vicario, and that's about it. And we want him to play with his feet, and he's absolutely terrible at it.
Yeah, I'm just not having it on Brendan. I'm still agreeing. Our front three is not. I think another manager comes in, they're going to have similar problems with our front three. The rest of the team, I think they'll do wonders with. I just think Maddison will become key, but I still think they have the same problems when it comes to that front three and creating. And I think the system suits the front three now because of the way Ange plays, unfortunately. And I don't even like it. But they score a lot of goals. That's what Ange's system does. It scores a lot of goals. Take that away, I think we see something completely different.
Well,
It's our defense.
Hopefully, we'll find out soon
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. We will find out. And Brennan Johnson will be gone, mate. Trust me, because I've watched that guy all year and I just can't.
Well, he won't be gone while Levy's there because unless you get some decent money, and he never sells players at a loss, really, does he? So we'll probably just hang on to him till his contract expires.
Yeah, we'll do. And he won't play. If we want to be a Champions League club or even a European club, Brendan Johnson's not it. I'm sorry, he's not it.
I think he's got a place. He could be the kind of guy who
comes on for 10 minutes.
In a tight game, comes on at the end when people are knackered, right? And just pump it over the top in a counter attack and get him to run on.
Yeah, that's a 50 million outlet for something that can't. I just don't get it.
Yeah, but that's what 50 million gets you now, though.
No, come on, Sink.
What do you mean? This is in this era of football. 50 million can get you a whole load of rubbish, mate. Like,
it can, but spent well, 50 million can also get you a lot of good.
Not anymore.
Like data model, mate. You got to use Brighton's data model. Let's go back to that.
Not anymore.
Of course it can. Not one of. I don't think any of our wingers cost 50 million, and they're all better than Brennan Johnson. Come on now. Jacob Murphy cost 12. Gordon, I think, cost 45 initially. Harvey Barnes. These are all better than Johnson.
Mm-hmm. I get the price.
Maybe marginally.
Jacob Murphy's the only one that's marginally better than Brendan Johnson. Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon are miles better than Brendan Johnson. Miles.
How much was Gordon bought for?
How much?
I think Gordon was 45, 50 initial fee going up.
We could go through everyone's front three, and I bet you the most wingers that we would say are better than Brendan Johnson didn't cost as much as Brendan Johnson. I'm not going to sit there. A Bournemouth stink cost more than Brendan Johnson.
Yeah, but you can do that with anything. You can pull up Nicolas Pepe for Arsenal, right? And then that kind of blows any argument out of the water. So
yeah, he was better than Brendan Johnson, and he was crap.
Yeah, he definitely is not. Look at the level he's playing at now, and he was like, how much did they pay for him? 70-odd million.
70-odd million, yeah. But yeah, I'm not having it. I think that's just going against Ange more than actually realizing how crap the player is.
I'll reserve judgment. The same with Son. Like I see a decline, but I'm not prepared to write him off until I see him under.
Son's got quality. I'm not going to sit there and say Son's not got quality, but we saw too many games, even under Conte, and people were saying it then, even when Kane was here. There's parts of games that Sonny just wasn't in a game.
I think generally, if you wrote players off based on how they performed under Ange, we'd be writing the vast majority. I think we've got a much better squad than we look. Right?
So what about Basuma then? Because everyone says Basuma's again not playing.
Yeah, but I don't think Basuma's ever played well for us before, really.
But if you're going by what you just said, if another manager comes in, he should be able to get the best out of Basuma, right?
I think he played better. But I'm not sure he's going to ever reach the level because he didn't before Ange came in. So I haven't got that comparison at Tottenham for Johnson, right? So I don't know. But people like Porro, who the crowd are all putting loads of hate on, I just feel sorry for him. Like there's so much space there every week in his position, which I don't understand. But it's not his fault. He's playing fucking attacking central.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Porro. The defense, I'll always feel sorry for under an Ange system because they allow so much to go through and how many shots they have.
And same with Basuma, to be fair. What he's asked, I don't think Basuma's great, but what he's asked to do single-handedly is basically impossible. Like to go around, he's running around like an absolute loon trying to cover left, right, and centre. It's not his game.
Yeah, but he wasn't
an attacking midfielder at Brighton. We never play him in that position.
Exactly. So we went and bought a DM that Spurs gone and researched, and he's not DM.
And that's what Tottenham do a lot, right?
So that's got nothing to do with the manager, is it?
Well, it's up to the manager where he plays in.
Yeah. Isn't Bentancur meant to be your DM?
No, he's just CM, innit? That box to box.
He plays DM though, but he's the best we've got out of a bad bunch.
We don't
Wasn't
really play
Højbjerg
with a defensive midfielder.
your sitter?
Pardon?
Wasn't Højbjerg your sitter?
Yeah, again, not the greatest.
He's the last actual defensive midfielder we have.
He'll stay and plug gaps and get loads of interceptions. He wasn't great, but he was a decent DM.
The problem with Højbjerg was he had allowed. So what we call the third man running. It used to happen to him a lot.
Yeah, because he's got no pace.
And what would end up happening is that it'd always be his man in the box scoring the goal.
Yeah, but that's because he's got no pace. That was the problem we had with Bruno in the six. But
Yeah,
he also does a lot of the other things that none of your other sixes do that are beneficial.
Well, this was the thing last season that I believe, and I do agree with you, where this is where we miss Højbjerg this season because no one else can do it. And Højbjerg used to come on in most games last year and just used to be in the last 20 minutes, you should just sit there and tidy up.
Yeah.
And Ange hasn't got that in anybody this year because he's playing Archie Gray at centre-back, doesn't see a minute yesterday, and you're like, I thought he was a DM. Ange has his problems.
Ange doesn't want that, though. Ange, that's not the way he plays. And when he's been asked about central midfield, he says he expects them all to be able to do the same thing, right? Which he doesn't want someone just to sit there and be that kind of destroyer. He expects them all to be bombing forward, which is why half the time when we're caught out of possession, we're like a polo formation, right? We have no
protection.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why I say this guy's not a Premier League manager. Because if you go through every single team in the Premier League, they have a protector, especially if their fullbacks go high. They have someone that can drop into the middle of the two centre-backs so the centre-backs can split, so you close the gaps that appear out wide when your fullbacks go high. If he wants his fullbacks high, he's got to play that guy. If he's not going to play that guy, then his fullbacks can't go. It's pretty simple. This is why I'm saying that he's not a Premier League manager, because he does the basic things wrong. It's ridiculous. Like that's management system 101. Like
preaching to the converted, mate.
Maybe because then everybody tucks round and stuff like that. But you can't have them both go and then not have a proper six. That's just dumb.
The thing is, Mitch. This is what we've been saying all season. We've been talking non-stop all season when it comes to reflecting on Ange and Spurs, that his fullbacks are never in the right position.
Yeah, and it's in the Premier League. You're not going to get away with it, are you?
Yeah. I used to have a similar argument with Newcastle fans because they would say, well, Howe needs to set up because there's a big hole in the middle. The big hole was because Bruno had no pace. So as soon as teams got him beyond a little bit, it looked like there was a massive gap because the back four are dropping and Bruno runs through treacle when he's running towards his own goal. As soon as we put Tonali there with a little bit more pace, the gap seemed a lot smaller, but we was playing no different. It's just we had someone who could cover a little bit more ground.
Yeah, no, and you could see that Manchester City had the same problem with Rodri not being there. There's gaps in that midfield that they couldn't plug, and they're still struggling now, to be honest. But at least they took the ball.
So City's problem was very similar. Kovacic plays 10 yards higher than Rodri does, but also doesn't have the athleticism to cover and plug all the gaps that Rodri did, and he's too high up the pitch still. So
it's partly why I feel sorry for Bissouma. Like, I don't think he's a great player, but when we lose the ball on transition, we essentially have two centre-backs, no one in the wings, everybody bombing forward. So it's usually like 4-5-on-2. And he's the one player who's supposed to go and sort all that out. And they're like, what do you want him to do? Like, it's so ridiculous, the tactics.
Yeah.
But yeah, old ground.
Yeah. But if you haven't got a proper DM, the simple solution to not having a proper DM is you play a double pivot. And you play two that can potentially play DM, that one goes, one sits. And then it kind of solves half your problem instantly. It's not rocket science. It's the easiest thing in football to do.
When Bissouma and Bentancur can do that, because there has been some games where they can do that, but then Bissouma has his brain fart games where it's 1 in, 2 out, and then Bentancur has games like he did yesterday, and you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but then all players have bad games. But if the system's set up for the players to fail, they're going to fail more often than not.
Which they are. They are failing. Yeah. They are failing.
I always used to say something, when I was managing, is like players used to whinge because I changed system quite a lot. And I was like, look, this is Saturday football. I've got a different 11 every week. I'm going to put as many square pegs in square holes as I possibly can and then plug the rest of the gaps with what we've got left. Because that's the best way to win a football match. It's not actually that hard.
And then you got relegated. No, I'm joking.
Actually, no. I've not ever been relegated. Actually, I don't think I've ever finished in the bottom half of the table.
Oh, I'm playing. But yeah, so we are, mate. Anyway, on that note, Chris, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, just on Twitter, just Spurs CC. That's all. Occasionally pop up somewhere else
Being miserable.
particularly unlucky.
Being miserable. If he ain't arguing against Ange, but getting out, he's arguing against how referees are being picked on.
Referees have always been picked on.
No, they're not.
We're a very harshly, unfairly treated bunch.
Like Arsenal fans.
Yeah. Same camp.
I tell you what, I wish with all my heart that there was a refereeing conspiracy against Arsenal. I would love that to be true. But it's not, sadly.
Because you're sat there in the middle of it.
I'd love it. I've tried to make it happen. Like I've been going, let's be biased against Arsenal, but it just doesn't fly, sadly.
Oh god.
Mitch?
Sunday evenings, 9 o'clock, where the I'll sleep, or on here, or if ever the rivals are short, sometimes I might pop up there now and again. You never know.
Oh yeah, I forgot you was on that last week. Enjoy it.
I was watching that, mate. I saw you on there. I thought you held your own very well, to be fair.
I heard you got box office though.
To be fair, he did pop on, but he wasn't his usual self. I've seen box office a few times. He normally comes in on smoke, and he didn't. He came in and was quiet for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, the problem is at the moment for box office, and I hope he listens to this. The problem is because he's right at the moment, and when he's right, he's like, "Oh crap, what do I say now?" He's hardly ever right. So he's got nothing to talk about. He's like, "Oh crap, I'm actually got it spot on. I don't like Ange. Everything I said is now true. What am I supposed to say next?" Unless he backs him.
Change the script.
You've got to change the script somehow, but no, box office is the man. You've got a lot of love for box office. Sink?
You'll find me on here, man. I'll be here next Monday talking Premier League football, VAR, all the rest of it.
Yeah. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment as per normal. You know what to do. Make sure you let people know about us as well. Make sure if you're into VAR stuff, come over. And we talk Premier League as well. We do talk about the weekend. And then we argue about Ange for about 20 minutes afterwards. Right?
I can't wait for us not to do that. Like, please God, just get him gone, and then we don't have to have that discussion.
Yeah, and then we'll be going, "Oh, who's improved since he's gone? Nobody." Because shit.
I'll be like, "How good is Brennan Johnson now?" That's what
you won't be saying that. Trust me. There are some players, even in an Ange, under Ange, you go, "Come on." We're back tomorrow. I can't remember who we got on tomorrow. I know Elijah's on. Who else have I got on? I don't know. Turn up tomorrow at 9:45. Spurs Kings TV. Ash will be back. He'll be doing the analysis of what's happened in the last 2 games, why it's been so wrong defensively, and going through the tactical nous and hopefully how we can beat Alkmaar on Thursday. And then rivals on Wednesday. Champions League tomorrow, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
When are Arsenal playing?
Not sure.
I think it's Wednesday.
If it's Wednesday, rivals will be short. Rivals will be late. Come back Wednesday for the rivals. As you know, big up to them boys there. And then I'm probably on. I'm doing last word, and I'm on We Are Tottenham TV this weekend. Get back in there, back in the studio. Don't be jealous, Chris. At least you get to share a screen with me, man. Share a screen with me. It's fine.
I'm not jealous. Just, I get all these signed shirts. I just want a Marlon signed Spurs shirt, and I can go and get that framed.
Yeah, that's what you need. That's what you need, man. A signed one from me. It won't be worth nothing. But on that note, like, subscribe, and comment. As always, is it Ange out now? Can we officially say Ange out or not? Ange in. Say it, Chris. Ange in. Ange
never. I'm never ever saying that.
Levy in? Levy in?
No. Everybody out. Levy, Ange,
and Chris.
Chris
out.
Betting off on Newcastle Carabao Cup winners 2025.
What? Salah next week?
No.
The worst thing is, I don't know who I want to win on Sunday because I'm like, I want to take the piss out of Mitch, but at the same time, I don't really want Liverpool to win it because it'd be nice if someone else won it.
Yeah, someone's got to stop them from absolutely winning everything this season.
That's what I'm thinking. But they've won the league. That's all I wanted them to win. I don't want them to win anything else. And I want. Do you know what? I want Bournemouth to batter Man City in the cup. I just want them gone. I just want the FA Cup. It'd be so wonderful. Be a great season then. Good old days. Spurs back to the 90s. Anyway, on that note, big up everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Good night.